you. I'm talking to you. Believe that.
All right, back to football. Patriots. I don't know if you guys know, they actually play in Wild Card Weekend. They host the Titans Saturday night, 8:15 Eastern. A new column in the Wall Street Journal. Didn't even know they had a sports section. Has the headline, the NFL playoffs may begin with the end of the Patriots dynasty. This is the first time since 2009 that the Pats are playing on Wild Card Weekend. Brian Westbrook, I will ask you, would a loss to the Titans officially end the Patriots dynasty?
You know, I think a lot of people would think that it would, but it wouldn't. I mean, think about this. From 2010 to 2013, the Patriots, they didn't win consecutively winning Super Bowls year after year. In fact, they lost once in the divisional round. They lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl. You know about that a little bit. And then they lost 2 conference championship games. So that's 4 years of football. They did not make it to the Super Bowl. In modern thought, you would think every single year they're there. They come back from 2014 to 2018. They win the Super Bowl. They lose the next year. They win the Super Bowl again. They lose the next year. They win the Super Bowl. And so they have the ability to resurface, to adjust and come back. This is one thing that you know about Bill Belichick. He's a master of adjusting on the sideline, adjusting at halftime. And I think throughout the offseason, he'll adjust as well. He'll pivot. He'll find a different way to do it. If they keep Tom Brady, the dynasty is not dead. They have the ability to build around him, get better players around him. They try to do it with Antonio Brown. They try to do it with a lot of different players. They have
Josh Gordon.
Of course. A lot of different players they try to do it with. They haven't been able to do that offensively. They still have a very good defense. They still have the brain of Tom Brady. They need to build around him a little bit better and maybe run the ball a little bit more often as well.
B-Dub, I think you highlighted the most important part of whether or not the dynasty is dead. Do they still have Bill Belichick? Do they still have Tom Brady? If they have those 2 guys in 2020, then we should have all the confidence that they'll be able to find a way this offseason to retool this team and put them back in championship contention. Because I agree with the Wall Street Journal as far as this team this year. The Patriots aren't going to make some magical run to the Super Bowl, but I think everybody's a little bit premature in terms of trying to bury Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and saying that it's over after 2 decades. I mean, last year they had 2 losses in December, 1 to the Dolphins, and they ended up winning the Super Bowl. Now they had the first round bye, and we always talk about how important that is. But this year, they lost 2 games in December, 1 to the Dolphins. They are playing on Wild Card Weekend, but, I mean, this team has not fallen off as far as everybody would expect. They've still won 12 games this year.
Which is more than they won last year.
Which is more than they won last year. So I just think that people need to pump the brakes a little bit when they start talking about the New England Patriots being done for.
Okay, so here's why I totally disagree with you guys. What's the team in the NBA the Patriots, Belichick, and Brady are compared to the most?
San Antonio.
Right, with Duncan and Popovich, right? And so those Spurs had similar success. The Patriots have 6 titles. The Spurs had 5. 3 early and then 1 late that vast majority of people did not expect in the 2014 season. That was the last year Tim Duncan was a great player. He was first-team All-NBA in 2013. He was All-NBA again in 2015, kind of at the very, very tail end. And that was the last year the Spurs competed for a title. Since then, they have played 1 Western Conference Final Series, and they got swept in that series. It really ended at that last title because as great as the infrastructure was, as great as Pop is, as great as the supporting cast was, once their superstar linchpin stopped being that level of player, much less once he retired, then their ability to compete for championships also ended right there with it. That's what we're seeing with Brady. I don't think he'll be back with the Patriots next year, but even if he is, does anyone think he's going to be markedly better than he is this year? I don't know why he would be. The defense can't be much better than it is this year. So it's not like, well, when Brady deteriorates, the defense will jump up. That's what happened this year. The defense deteriorated, and the defense went from a very good defense last year to a great defense this year. And the other element of it, and you guys think I bring up the D Ford play all the time because I'm a bitter Chiefs fan. When he's offsides, Brady throws that pick. And that is part of it. It is because I'm a bitter Chiefs fan. But the other reason is because had D Ford been onside and that pick counted, the narrative of the dynasty makes so much more sense. Think of what we would have had. We would have had an all-time great player muster one last amazing moment, 28-3 down in the Super Bowl, to break Joe Montana's record, get his 5th ring. The next year, he's so good he wins league MVP, but the team isn't quite good enough. They lose in the Super Bowl. The next year, you get one game further away. You're in the AFC Championship game against the new great young player. And the great player on the Patriots has a terrible game. That would have been his 3rd interception. You lose it on your arm. And then if that had happened, and then we were to look at this year, it's like, oh, and now you have the worst year of your career, and you're a wild card. What screws up the narrative, if you will, is they won that game. They then win the Super Bowl on a brilliant defensive performance, and I'm not taking anything away from them. I'm just saying it would make so much more sense if it was like 28-3 is here, the Eagles Super Bowl loss is here, the Chiefs game's here, and now we're where we are. It's that they are the defending Super Bowl champs, so people don't want to admit it. The question I would have is, if this week or next week, whenever they lose, is Brady's last game as a Patriot, do you guys think Belichick, the dynasty, can continue absent of Tom Brady? That if they plug and play a quarterback with the salary cap room they have, that they can continue to compete for championships if Brady's in retirement or wearing a Los Angeles Chargers uniform?
Absolutely not. Now, that ends the dynasty right there.
Okay.
If Tom Brady is gone, it was the Belichick and Tom Brady show. If Tom Brady, that piece is gone, that ends it right there. Who's the backup quarterback? If Tom Brady couldn't win with this cast of characters, then how can the backup, who we have no confidence?
Stidham.
Yeah, we have no confidence in Stidham. And here's the other part. The players in that locker room, they don't have number 12 walking out there on the field. And that's a big difference. When you have that guy walking underneath center, the guys around him believe that they could come back and win any game. And the confidence level for Bill Belichick and that offense and defense without Brady there, the dynasty probably is going to be over. Here's the other part. Until the Jets, the Dolphins, and until they can win consistently in the Bills and make the playoffs and win that division, the dynasty isn't over, especially if Tom Brady is there. Until they can do that every single year, then the dynasty can't be over, because the Patriots will continue to win the AFC East until those teams get much better. Now, if you're telling me Josh Allen and the Bills are going to be much better next year and they're going to win it, then the dynasty is over no matter if Tom Brady is there or not.
Well, the Bills have shown with their trajectory, they're going to be a pretty damn good football team.
Yeah, they still lost to the Patriots twice, though.
Brandon Beane, their general manager, and their head coach, Sean McDermott, they have a clear program. They made the playoffs in his first year, and now they're a double-digit win team in his 3rd year. So you see which way they're trending. But as far as the Patriots go, you're absolutely right. If they have Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, they're going to be able to keep this thing pushing. And I'll tell you why. It's beyond just the confidence that Tom Brady gives to the rest of the guys that are on the field, but also the consistency in the voice and setting the agenda for the club from Bill Belichick to Tom Brady to the other 52 guys in the locker room. I think that's something that's very important. When you start talking about the Patriot way, you got to have your best player echo the same things that the head coach / general manager is echoing. If Tom Brady is not the mouthpiece for Belichick in that locker room, then none of this works. So, I mean, this is a throwback player with a throwback coach. If you take any one of those pieces away from it, then, yeah, the dynasty is going to collapse. But as far as what this year is going to do, I don't have a lot of confidence that they're going to be able to make a playoff run just because of the deficiencies that they have on the offensive side of the ball. A lot of young receivers outside of Julian Edelman, and Tom Brady has shown that those guys aren't on the same page, and that affects his productivity. So I'm not sure if we're seeing a fall off in Brady's skill set or just the supporting cast not being on the same page at the quarterback. Either way, the results are not what the Patriots are looking for, and they haven't had an opportunity to pivot and go in a different direction this season. We'll see what happens in the offseason.
And listen, Colin Cowherd made this point that dynasties rarely end as abruptly as the Golden State Warriors one did, where a great player leaves, other great players get hurt, and you go from up here to the worst team in basketball. Listen, everyone knew when Bill Russell retired after winning 11 championships in 13 years, the Celtics were in a different era. Most dynasties just kind of whimper out. The Lakers with Shaq and Kobe, they win 3 straight titles. The next year they get bounced by the Spurs. The next year they're back in the finals. Then Shaq leaves. How good are they going to be? And then you realize, oh, it's over now. I do wonder if we're going to look at this season a few years from now and saying, oh, all the writing was on the wall right then and there. Tom Brady was outside of the top 15 in all these categories. They didn't get a bye for the first time in a decade. Of course, that's when it ended. It's because they're, in my eyes, because they're defending Super Bowl champs, that it's hard to say the team that most recently won the championship, that their era is already over. Feels like to me it might be, though. Coming up, Will Carson Wentz lead the Eagles on a Nick Foles-type playoff run? Hey, that's next. This is First Things First.